Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. So today I'm reviewing this new brow microfilling pen from Benefit. And no, that's not what I have on my brows right now. Okay, so I will explain all in a minute. All right. So yeah, so I like the sound of this. It's one of those 3-pronged brow pencils that is like the kind of microblading effect. Now I'm going to show you me applying it, and I'm also going to show you some swatches, and then I'm going to give you some thoughts. It's a good product, but it's not for everyone, and I shall explain as we go on. So let's see me applying it. Okay, so here's me putting it on, and I'm trying to get as close as I can to the camera. So you can see it's kind of brushing the brows as well as kind of doing some fine lines, and it does fill in a little bit, but it's not making a huge amount of difference on my brows, which are quite dark. I think it's quite a sheer product. And I'm not sure that you can see any kind of 3 lines. Because I've got too much brow hair, so I think you would probably see it more if you had sparser brows than mine. I do think it's quite good to get in those sort of corners, definitely. I think, you know, it's something you might want to think about using a combination of products, maybe using something else in the middle if you've got brows like mine, and then maybe using it at the end of the brow. Either end, like the middle end and the outer end. So I'm just filling in the other one. So I hope you enjoy me watching this. Hope you enjoy watching this. But I just thought I'd show it you in real time so that you could see what it looks like. It's, as I said, not really making a huge amount of difference, but I quite like it on a no makeup day because it's kind of tidying them up. It's sort of, I would say, giving me more of a kind of brow boost, a brow tidy than anything else. And it is good for filling in those sparse areas. I'd love to know what you think. Definitely notice it at the ends, each end. Okay, so here's a before and after, and you can't really see a big difference, except they look a little bit tidier. So now I'm just showing you what it looks like on the hand. So you can see if you've got very sparse brows, that would show up, but if you've got thicker brows, that is the darkest colour they do. So you can see it's not going to make a big effect on my dark brows. And then coming up, I just thought I'd show you this product, and then I'll show it you next to Precisely My Brow, which is a bit more pigmented. And then I thought, let me put on Precisely My Brow. Now, I've already done one brow, but just so that you can see the difference. So this is also a very thin pen from Benefit. And okay, it's not got the 3 strokes, it's just got the 1 thin stroke. But if you want something with very thin hair-like strokes, but a bit more pigmented, then I think Precisely My Brow is the product to go for. But again, this is if you've got sort of brows like mine, so that you've got a reasonable amount of hair there, but you want to fill in the gaps. I think that this is better. I think maybe it's not as good if you've got very sparse brows or very fair brows, because I think you'll see once I finish this, the fact that I've got no makeup on, my brows look a little bit in your face after doing this. It's fine when I've got makeup on, this is perfect, but they end up looking a little bit too dark when I'm not wearing any makeup. So, and you know, I've always said my brows are not twins or sisters. they're distant cousins because one of them looks a very different shape to the other, and I really could never even them out. I just have to kind of make a little bit a thicker line above there to make them look similar-ish. But you can see they're very dark, a lot more pigmented now, but perhaps a little bit too much for when you're not wearing makeup. Okay, and now you're going to see the difference between the microfilling pen and Precisely My Brow, just to show you the difference in pigment. Very quick aside before I get on to the conclusion of this product. The reason I haven't put a lot of makeup on today is I'm absolutely delighted with my skin and the lack of pigmentation. I've only got tinted moisturiser on, but I used my tranexamic acid again last night, and I've decided I'm going to use it all week. And if my skin's a bit dry in the morning, just put on some extra moisturiser, because it really has helped again. It really gives me that wow factor. So in case you're wondering, this is the tranexamic acid by the Inkey list, and do check out my video on that. I'll put a link to it below. Okay, so who is this product for? As you can see, although this is more pigmented, it probably looks, my brows look a bit out of place at the moment because I haven't got a lot of makeup on. I've just got some tinted sunscreen. So I think this is a really good product to use on days where you're having a no makeup day, but you just want to tidy up your brows a little bit, but you don't want there to look like you've got any brow product on, because now, unless I put any makeup on, my brows are kind of, they wouldn't look out of place if I had makeup on, but they do look a bit out of place now because I've got no makeup on. So this is really good product, which I will use for kind of no makeup, just tidy my brows up day. The other thing that I think it's good for is if you've got very, very sparse brows and you find that your brow products always look a little bit like this, like even with your makeup on, i.e. they're a little bit too dark, too pigmented, and look a little bit fake, then I think this would be a really good product, because on bare skin, if you don't have a lot of hairs and you're actually having to fill them in, I think this would look very good and very natural and very like your own brows. I also think if you've got very fair brows, that this would be a really good product. Now, one thing I will say is don't use the online shade selection tool, because when I used it, it said that my shade was fair. Now, admittedly, as I'm going a bit grey, I probably need to go down a colour from 5 to maybe 4. So not dark brown, but medium brown, as my grey hairs are starting to kind of make my eyebrows a little bit fairer. But I'm certainly not blonde. So I wouldn't rely on the tool to tell you what shade you are. And also bear in mind, these are very, very sheer, quite watery, so they're not going to look super pigmented anyway. So you don't need to be scared about getting something that maybe is a bit darker than you would normally go for, because, you know, this is the darkest brown that they do. That one, not this, that's Precisely My Brow. That's the darkest brown they do. So it's really good if you're a little bit nervous about doing your brows. That's the other person this is for. You're a bit nervous about doing your brows and you always feel like they're a bit too in your face. This is a really good product. So it does have its place. I think the problem with these 3-pronged brow tools is the idea is really cool and we all want it to work. The problem is, in order to get 3 very thin lines like that, it has to be quite a runny consistency, otherwise it's not going to work. And if it's a certain consistency, all the lines are going to merge together into one thick line, and I just haven't seen a company that's got it right yet. And I think really, if you get a fine enough point to your brow pencil, and I use this, say, in a lighter shade for a no makeup day, you can get those strokes. This is a great idea, and as I said, I really want it to work, but I just don't think it works, because by the time you put it on your brow, it's quite runny, and therefore it just merges together anyway into 3 smudged out lines. It doesn't really look like that when you've got a brow on. If you have got very bare brows and hardly any hairs there, then yes, that's going to look like hairs. But if you're putting it on top of brows, I don't think you're going to notice the 3 lines at all. You know, it's just going to tidy them up. So it's got its place, but it's not for everyone. And I hope I helped you decide whether or not it's for you. But any questions, do let me know, and I'd be delighted to answer your questions. Take care, and thank you for joining me, and I'll see you all very soon. Love you all.